time for the Ron and Brian podcast. Get ready to fill your ears with the latest news, politics, current events, and whatever else we feel like talking about this week. And now, your hosts, Ron and Brian.
Is this on? Is this on, Brian?
Oh, it better be on. It better be on. It is Sunday, Ron.
I don't remember how this equipment works, Brian. I've been
Listen, Ron. First off, welcome back. I think that we have to put the most obvious, the most glaring thing that we need to discuss right out on the surface for all. You were absent last week.
I was, yes.
And that absence was felt in many different ways on this show. Some good, some bad, but we're not going to. There's no part of rehashing.
Dwell on it.
Some people saying it was just an epic show. Some people saying highest laughs per minute ever. I was just sifting through some of the viewer emails that came in.
Sure, understood.
Most importantly, what I do want to discuss is Vacation Ron doesn't shave.
He does not. I shaved for dinner, I think, the second night we were there. And my wife was like, "Why are you shaving? You're on vacation." I'm like, "Valid." And also, this morning I was going to shave and realized that I was out of razors, so I had to get razors. So I'll be able to. I'll be shaved tomorrow when I go back to work officially.
Will you be going back to work, or will you just be sitting at the exact same desk, just wearing work appropriate clothes?
I'll be at this desk for a while, but then I actually have to travel again.
Let me guess. We are going to be going to West by God, Virginia.
No, I'm going upstate, going to Syracuse, New York.
Really?
Yeah,
Swinging? Will we be swinging by New York City at all?
Not at all. You're a little out of the way, unfortunately. Even West New York, New Jersey is a little out of the way.
Damn. How does it feel to be back, Ron?
It's good. It's good to be back. It was a relaxing time. We'll talk about that a little bit during the podcast, but it's good to be back. It's good to see you, my friend. And I guess, let's just get right into it with Drink of the Week.
Drink of the Week.
Na zdrowie.
Salud.
Drink of the Week.
Tranche.
Drink of the week. Drink of the week. Drink of the week.
Brian, I know you did an epic 42-minute Drink of the Week segment last week. Let's try and rein it in a little bit. And tell me, what are you drinking this week?
Straight from the streets of London. That's right, Ron. I will be drinking Camden Hell's Lager. Snuck in through U.S. Customs by yours truly. When the customs agent recently on my trip when I landed in Newark Airport said, "Excuse me, sir, do you have anything you'd like to declare?" I said, "I'd like to declare these nuts and absolutely nothing else." Little did he know that I had a gigantic, what is this, a liter bottle? I don't know.
That's a big one.
It's a big one. Oh, those British, they do like their beer. So what am I rocking here? Ron, I am currently rocking, as I said, the Camden Hell's Lager. Look at that color. Look, you can practically see through it.
It's like water. It's like Coors Light you're drinking.
The Camden Hell's Lager, it's a hybrid beer that combines two German beer styles, Helles and Pilsner. It has a 4.6 ABV and contains 138 calories per serving size. The beer is a pale golden color with notes of lemon, orange, spicy herb, sweet caramel, and biscuity malts. It has a crisp, dry, and clean finish. It's brewed with malted hops sourced from Germany. It debuted in autumn 2010. It is now brewed and sold alongside some of the collections of the core beers and occasional releases that have made Camden Town Brewery in London just world famous. And now we bring some of it to our podcast, Ron. This is Camden Hell's Beer.
It is truly an international night here on the Ron and Brian podcast. How is that Camden Hell's?
Gotta say, if I'd call this a damn crushable lager.
All right.
Camden Hell's. I'm working on it. As you can see, look at that beautiful color. I will be drinking quite a bit of it in the next hour. Ron,
All right. Yes.
Ron,
Yes, sir.
what are you drinking?
So Brian, it's Halloween is past. It's all about the holiday season now. We are focusing on the heavier beers, and I'm going to bring a little mixology into your night tonight, Brian. I'm sure you are familiar with the good people at Trogs in Hershey, Pennsylvania. Their
Of course,
Mad Elf beer. They put this
of
out
course.
once a year. It is ale brewed with honey and cherries. It's heavy. It's 11%. This is what you do, Brian. You take your glass, you fill your glass halfway with the Mad Elf, as I am doing right now. Then you pull out of the beer fridge
Whoa.
the Trogs Grand Cacao Chocolate
Cacao.
Stout, which is clocking in at 6.5, and you mix that in with the Mad Elf. Brian, this gives you a chocolate covered cherry flavored beer. It also kicks your ass when it comes to a liquor alcohol standpoint. But let me just take a sip here.
Look at that. First off, the deep color.
Delicious, deep color. You've got
Walk me through the flavors. What are the flavors?
Again, you're getting the cherry, you're getting the honey, you're getting the chocolate. You're getting the alcohol, obviously, because the Mad Elf's 11%. It is not crushable. You have too many of these and you will regret it the next morning, but it is a delicious holiday drink, one of my favorites.
Oh, that looks good. That looks
so I will be
good.
putting that down throughout the show. Might be a little sloppy later, but you never know. You never know what's going to happen. So that's my drink of the week, Brian. Will you be rushing out to get those beers to try that yourself?
I'm hoping I have a friend who lives in the Pennsylvania area with easier access to those beers than I do here.
All
Lovely
right.
New Jersey.
We will see. We will see if that's the case. In the meantime, it's Beef of the Week.
Ron and Brian's Beef of the Week.
Brian, what's your beef?
Competitive friends.
Really? How so?
Why are you laughing? I don't understand.
I don't know why. I just have a feeling.
Competitive friends. People, I feel like as friends, we need to lift and support each other. I think that, if you look at life through concentric circles, I believe that you've got your family, concentric circles. I believe you've got your family at your specific, most direct layer outside of you. Some people don't feel that way about their blood family, and they look at their friends and colleagues as family, and I believe that that's great. Ron, I see you as family. I want you to know that you are in that
feel the
first
same way.
concentric circle, and then when you've got friends, you've got acquaintances, colleagues, whatnot. And one of the things that has really irritated me, as this social media has really taken off, as the internet is, people now have their online presence, as something has replaced their who they are. You see the streak of competition really sullying friendships and bonds that we have with each other. We now have a lot of instances where where you tell a story and people immediately will be like, oh well, they feel the need to like one up you,
Right.
make it about them. When you say, "Oh, I've been to, I went to 4 Yankee games this year," you've got friends who'll be like, "Well, I went to 8 Yankee games." When you say, "I saw Star Wars the day it opened," "I saw it twice the day it opened." And something that just kind of happened to me this past week that really, really rubbed me the wrong way. The number of people that reached out to me this past week and said to me, "Hey, listen, have you noticed that your views on YouTube of the podcast that you did last week by yourself, it's crushing Ron in terms of interest from the general public." I don't know if you can see it here, Ron. I tried to, I hesitated to, publish just, the discrepancy between, the levels here. But you did episode 274 all by yourself. I mean, obviously, you were feeling that my presence lacking was going to hurt viewership. So you inserted my name in the title. I understand that. I saw what you were doing there. I appreciate it. You included a video of me in the thumbnail on YouTube. You got 44 views, and the number of people, and it just it irritated me. It just made me so angry this past week, the number of people reaching out, family reaching out from, third cousin saying, hey, I see that you're up to, 74 views on YouTube. I said, stop it, please. You will never drive a wedge between Ron and I. He is my brother. And it does not matter who got more views on our solo episode. It's disgusting that people want to turn this into a competition. I love you, Ron, and I would want nothing to come between us ever.
I appreciate
my
that, Ryan.
beef of the week is competitive people who try to turn friendships into competitions. Just disgusting.
Understood.
It's disgusting.
Now, I've noticed you named the episode Brian Will Be There For You. You did that the same week as Matthew Perry's passing. Do you
Correct.
feel maybe looking at the views that maybe people thought this was a Friends related episode?
I would say that, having watched the whole, all 2 hours of last week's episode, which you can find on YouTube, Facebook, Twitch in video format, you can find it anywhere you get your podcast for audio only. I mean, if you were to go through last week's episode, first off, a lot of content right off the bat with Matthew Perry, the tragedy of his loss, the recap of my personal relationship with the show Friends. But then as the show progressed and we incorporated all the different comments from people on the internet that were watching it live, it felt like an episode of Friends. I kind of felt like Joey at one point, and Janelle kind of felt like Rachel, and Billy kind of.
You thought I was going to stop you, but I was like, let's see until Brian runs out of Friends references he can make.
It was only a matter of time before I realized that I could not remember what Courtney Cox's character's name was. Like there was,
it was Monica. Come on, what's going on here?
Yeah. So I don't think that there was any false advertising.
All right, fair enough.
Why? Ron?
Yes.
What's bothering you?
So my beef this week is with beach/pool etiquette or lack thereof. I'm going to tell you two stories, Brian. Now you have been to pools. Sure. I assume you've been to pools in nice locations.
I recently was in the Bahamas with the lady a couple months back.
There you go. Now, correct me if I'm wrong. I look at pool seating and where you select your seat, much like how you select a urinal when you go to the bathroom. Like if there's one person using a urinal, you're not going to use the urinal right next to them.
No.
Same thing with seats. If there is a couple in a section of seats where no one else is sitting, you're not going to sit right next to them. So we went down to one of the pools while we were on vacation, and sat down, left my lady there while I went to go get us towels. And when I came back, a couple had literally taken the two seats right next to our two seats, even though there was a good 10 seats one way, a good 10 seats the other way. Not only that, the gentleman of the couple had apparently gotten a work phone call that he was doing on speakerphone while sitting there next to us for like a solid 10 minutes.
That's not okay under any circumstances. That is absolutely not okay.
In fact, you FaceTimed us at that point, and we felt no remorse in putting you on as loud as possible on our speakerphone to kind of drown out his work call being on speakerphone.
Now, one question, and you can tell me if I'm wrong here, but you're a handsome man. Your wife, very beautiful.
Right.
Is it possible that this was the other couple's, entree into a conversation?
Kind of a swinging type situation?
Could it be?
I mean, they did not strike up a conversation otherwise. but it was weird. And then second, Brian, and you and I, we both like a good cigar every now and then. We're not afraid of it. But would
No.
you, in a small pool area, light up a large cigar?
No, I think well, it depends how crowded is that. How many
Um,
people are in that vicinity?
I would say there's probably 10 or 12 people in an
I
area
probably
that
would.
holds maybe 20.
I would not light a cigar.
Yeah. So there was this couple, and the gentleman, I would say he reminded me of who was the comic?
O'Neill.
Patrice O'Neill. Reminded me of him probably about 10 minutes before his fatal heart attack. Like very similar health condition, and smoking these foot-long stogies, like multiple, like every time I saw him at the beach,
Oh.
stogie. We're at the pool, stogie, and it's like, again, I don't mind cigars, but
Sure.
the cigar smoke when you're just trying to relax, it's again, I just feel it's being considerate to other people. You tell me if I'm out of line.
I think that when it comes to a cigar, especially in a public setting like that, I think you have to at least show some level of acknowledgement that this is an odor that some people may not enjoy. And, I think etiquette says you walk off to the side,
Right.
you kind of get your own area. That's a shame. Billy brings up a good point about this couple that sat next to you, were they also furries?
Not that I'm aware of, but again, we didn't really engage in any conversation, so
Got it.
tough to say.
How was the vacation otherwise? I mean, I know we spoke about it I spoke about it quite a bit last week, but it was your 10th anniversary.
It was.
You and the missus. So, how was the vacation?
I mean, it was good. We went down to the Dominican Republic, down to Punta Cana, cashed in my Marriott Bonvoy points, and spent 5 days at Sanctuary Cap Cana, little all-inclusive adults-only resort down there. Great weather. We had like a little rain for like a half hour on one of the days, but otherwise we were able to hang out at the beach, hang out at the pool. We did a couples massage in the spa one day. Great thing about vacation is you can start drinking at 10 a.m. No one bats an eye. You do that here, and they tell you to go to a meeting. You do that on vacation. That's just par for the course.
Well, usually your boss sends you home.
Yeah, exactly. But it was a good time. Great weather. The people were very friendly. I would highly recommend, if you haven't traveled down to the Dominican Republic, I would highly recommend it.
Did you do any activities, or did you just kind of tune out with the outside world and just you and the missus relaxing?
Pretty much, yeah. We didn't do any excursions. One thing I will say from the description on the website, we felt that the resort was a lot larger than it actually was when we got down there. So we literally walked the length of the resort in like 10 minutes. We're like, oh, I guess this is everything. And then we were like, so that's why we just hung out by the pool all day, or we hung out by the beach all day, and just really made it a relaxing vacation.
I think that's great. I think that's,
and they took advantage. I didn't realize this. Did you know airports can have VIP service?
No, never heard. Never. I know Newark Airport doesn't offer that kind of luxury. Walk me through this.
So we did it. We did it going in and going out. Just again, you mentioned it was our anniversary, so we went a little bit crazy. So you get off the plane, and when you get up to the gate, you have somebody there with your names on a sign, and they take you to a lounge where you can sit, you can relax, have a beverage while they get your luggage. They take care of security, they take care of immigration for you, and then they just get you to your transportation and get you on your way. So that
sounds lovely.
Like you get to jump in front of people in line that are waiting to enter the country. Just makes you feel like you can look down your nose at people. It was spectacular.
I've always thought that you felt proud that you kept your feet on the ground, and
normally I'm a common man, but this was our time to kind of go all out. And then on the way back, oh wait, people are asking what great shirt you're wearing this week.
No, I'm not wearing anything special. This isn't a great shirt. I mean, I don't know, like, what is this? This is just a shirt I put together. I mean,
Yeah.
I literally pulled this out of my closet. I don't even I don't even see what shirt this was. Hold on.
Is that the Drunk Ron shirt that you have had made for yourself?
This is Drunk Ron. Is this the next item in our merch store? Drunk Ron? Yes, ladies and gentlemen, Drunk Ron.
It was not a good night. I will tell you that much. It was not a good night at the Jim Norton show. Always check to make
See that
sure
again.
that you know the alcohol content of your beers before having too many of them.
Ooh, there we go.
Uh,
Oh, that feels good.
Anyway, back to leaving the country. So it's the same thing when you go back. You check into your plane tickets. You go into the little VIP area, and you literally like. I was like, oh, they'll take us through. They tell you they take you through security and immigration. You literally have your own security line that you go through. Like, and it was so crazy. Like, we go into this other room, and there's like a little security machine there. So we put and we're the only people there. We put our bags on it.
Right.
It goes through, and then there's literally an immigrations person there just for us to like hand our passports, ka-chunk, send us on our way. And then the VIP lounge we got to go to had like a full outdoor pool, showers, bar, food, the whole 9 yards. Totally the way to go.
Let me ask you a question. At what point does white guilt kick in and you realize that, for pennies on the dollar, you were literally larding in front of all these people just how fabulously wealthy you are in relation to their annual salary for a mere pittance, so that you and the wife, heaven forbid, have to actually wait at immigration? Like at what point did you sit there and say, I feel a little bad about this?
Brian, we were pumping money into the local economy, and I'm not going to allow you to shame us for that.
Okay. All right.
All right. Any other questions you might have about vacation?
No, I'm good.
It was a good time. I recommend everybody go on vacation. Except for you.
I think
we need to keep doing this together.
I think at least once, maybe 2024 or 2025, we do cruises have become very popular. A lot of bands have cruises.
You think a Ron and Brian podcast cruise?
I wasn't thinking a cruise. I was thinking more of like a vacation where,
Okay.
a long weekend, maybe 4 or 5 days,
Right.
someplace warm, but, no activities planned as part of the trip. You just show up and you hang with us.
All right. We'll work on that for 2026, maybe.
Okay. I have a few pounds I'd like to lose before that trip.
Same here. I hear you, my friend. All right. Well, one thing I did manage to get over to you, even though I was on vacation, was our NFL locks of the week.
Locks.
Brian, again, I didn't hear your picks, but I think this may have been your most impressive week ever. You did an entire 2-week show on or 2-hour show on your own. You handled the production, the distribution, the content, everything. You were managing home renovations. You were out purchasing doorknobs. I mean, there was a lot going on, and you also managed to come up with 2 perfect picks. You had Pittsburgh minus 3.5 versus Tennessee. They hurdled that just barely, winning 20-16, and then you took Green Bay plus 1.5 over the LA Rams. They didn't need those points. They won the game outright, 20-3, running your record to a perfect 18-0. How the hell do you do that?
Ron, I don't even understand why you are trying. I mean, I understand you're bashful. I understand that you don't like to put the spotlight on yourself, but you're sitting there trying to talk about my perfect 2-0 week last week. We all should be talking about your 2-0 week. You saw the Chiefs flying out to Frankfurt, Germany, without Taylor Swift. You sat there and said, wait a second, this is going to drive the line down. People know that Travis Kelce doesn't play well when Tay Swift isn't in the building. But you want to know something, Ron? You sat there and said, I don't think the Dolphins are going to bring it. Chiefs winning 21-14, only laying 2.5. That was your first win of the day. But then you also saw Baltimore Ravens laying 4.5 over the Seahawks, and you said, Ravens. Absolutely. Ravens winning by 34. Ron, that made you 2-0 for the week. That made you 18-0 for the season. At some point, do you just start to sit there and think, listen, this is easy?
It never gets any easier. It seems there's always there's a modicum of doubt every time that we do this. And it's just, I'm just appreciative that the streak has continued for as long as it has, and just hope that it can continue for another week.
I think it's great. Who do you have this coming week?
This upcoming weekend, still loving Baltimore next weekend, -5.5 versus Cleveland. Dallas with the tough loss in Philly tonight. They're getting 10 points versus the New York Giants, who are just horrible. Take Dallas -10.
I wish I had picked that Dallas game before you did. I'm looking at the crumbs you have left on the table. I like Falcons -1.5 over the Cardinals. Also like Saints -2.5 over the Vikings. They lost Kirk Cousins, their starting quarterback, their backup, whoever he is. He was out this week with a concussion. They're going with a third stringer next week. I think those 2.5 points are going to be a nice little padding, I guess.
Yeah, a little bit.
Whatever. Yeah, I go with that.
All right. Those are our locks of the week, folks. Brian, stories of the week. We picked them. We love them. We want to make sure that they don't fall through the cracks. Talk to me a little bit about your story of the week this week.
Ron, do you have a photo of Ina Thea Knoyer?
There we go.
Now I'm going to ask you this. Is this the kind of woman that you would trust giving you a beverage after you told her that you recently came into an inheritance of $30 million and then decided that you were going to break up with her, letting her know that you were going your separate way? Is this the kind of woman that you would trust? Now, right off the bat, she's not even willing to stand in the center of the photo. So you can't trust her. Second of all, look at that look on her face. That is a woman who says, bitch, this is only the third killing that I've been charged with. Ladies and gentlemen, I would like to introduce you to the actual story of Ina Thea Knoyer. Believe it or not, ladies and gentlemen, excuse me, she is only 47 years old. That's right. It's been a rough 47 for Ina. She lives in North Dakota and is currently in jail, charged with murder. After she has been charged with fatally poisoning her boyfriend, who goes by the name of Stephen Edward Riley Jr. That's a lot of letters for North Dakota, because it's a lot more letters than Stephen's got teeth. Stephen recently notified his common law wife that he had inherited $30 million. And because they had been going through a rough patch in their relationship, well, Stephen told Ina that she was going to have to find somewhere else for her to live, as he and his son were going to divide this inheritance. Ina wasn't going to have any of it, as just within 24 hours, Riley became ill as he was meeting with a lawyer on September 3rd to collect this massive inheritance. Knoyer didn't call 911 when he came home that day until the following day, when paramedics arrived and found Riley unresponsive. He died in the hospital the next day. An autopsy determined that he was killed after ingesting antifreeze.
Oof.
Ina proclaimed her innocence in a series of nonsensical Facebook posts. Now, to me, Ron, you tell me, isn't that an oxymoron? Nonsensical Facebook post. I mean, I think those two words go hand in hand, just like Ina Thea Knoyer and antifreeze. She proclaims her innocence, and then unfortunately, at the same time, tells the investigators that she is due 50% of this $30 million inheritance. because she is Stephen's common law wife. Now, looking at this photo of Ina, Ron, I'm sure you're thinking, oh, somebody better wife her up. But Riley, he's not thinking about wifing up. They had been together for years in what she felt was a common law relationship. Unfortunately, North Dakota, the state they lived in, does not recognize such relationships. As such, when investigators notified her that she was not eligible for any of this inheritance, she blew her stack, which led authorities to see her as their prime suspect. Here's the kicker is that after the funeral, Stephen's son, I'm just going to fucking name him Junior because I can't find
Well, he'd be the third if the guy who died was Junior.
North Dakota man. Right. Oh, here, his son, Ryan Riley, who sounds more like somebody who would be part of a college fraternity. Ryan Riley here with you. Actually, no, he sounds like a weatherman. Anyway, Ryan announces, hey, this is all just a scam. There is no inheritance. He was contacted by somebody on the internet saying that he had inherited 30 million, but
So wait
there's
a minute.
absolutely no truth that there's any money there.
So what you're saying is that he actually hadn't won 30 million. He was
Nope.
duped and died because of it.
Yep.
Wow. That was a twist that I did not see coming.
North Dakota man with a $30 million inheritance. I did not see that either. Janelle, you're absolutely correct. She looks 25. I mean, we can see that.
That's the
Ron,
North Dakota
I have a
25
question.
right there. Yes.
What would you do if you woke up tomorrow and received a letter in the mail saying that you had inherited $30 million? What would you do?
I mean, I might do a little research because I don't know exactly who I would be inheriting $30 million from.
Sure, of course. Would you tell your wife, or would you go down into the basement, do this research? Would you let her in on your good fortune?
I would probably go to the local coffee shop, maybe have a little latte while I did some research, just in case. Don't want to get her hopes up, I don't want to,
Sure.
I don't want to dash her dreams like that.
But you wouldn't tell her that you're leaving her
No.
letting her know you got the 30 mil.
No, she's good for 15 of it. She can have it.
It's true love. True love. Ron,
Yes.
what's your story of the week?
So it's an interesting story, Brian, and I brought it to the table because this is one of those stories that I like to get your take on it, because I never know which side of the story that you are going to take, because you're a libertarian, you're a liberal at times, you're a moderate at times, you're a staunch conservative at times. You really are. You're a pastiche of ideals, and that's one of the things that I love about you. So we're gonna
want to talk fiscal policy.
Maybe later. But we are going to jump back to 2018. When we're going out to Tennessee, Brian, Dixon, Tennessee. Police Sergeant Daniel Baker was fatally shot while investigating a suspicious vehicle.
We back the blue here, Ron. We back the blue.
We do back the blue. So there was an individual, Rutherford County resident Joshua Garton, in 2021. So this is 3 years later after the sergeant was killed. He posted a photoshopped meme of the Right's 2009 album cover, "Pissing on Your Grave," showing two men urinating on a headstone, with a headshot of that former police sergeant superimposed on the headstone. So insensitive, you would have to agree.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
So what ended up happening is he was arrested, and now District Attorney W. Ray Crouch and two Tennessee Bureau of Investigation agents have to pay him $125,000 to settle a First Amendment claim. The settlement of claims for malicious prosecution, false arrest, and violation of his First Amendment rights came almost 3 years after he was charged with harassment and held in jail for 12 days. The charge was later dismissed for lack of probable cause.
Wait a second. He did 12 days in jail over this?
He did 12 days in jail for it, correct.
That's at least 14 anal rapes. I mean, I'm sure that the first couple days they got in a morning and an evening session, and then I think they decided to take it easy on him. But I mean, Jesus, I didn't even realize. I mean, 12 days in jail? Yeah, I think that he got off easy. If this was a New York City jury, oh, forget it. He would be at least in the 8 figures with the apology on this one.
Now,
I
what's
mean,
also interesting is text messages between the defendants, including Crouch, including TBI director and other TBI employees, knew he had not committed a crime, with some even directly stating that the public would be mad at them because, quote, we violated his First Amendment rights.
so they knew that they were breaking the law when they arrested him.
Well, they said he has a right to post, one unnamed defendant said in the text messages. That doesn't mean there are no consequences.
People. This is why, and I've been saying it for years. In 2018, nobody should be using text messages anymore. That is what you need to be using, a secure app on your phone
Like
for
WhatsApp.
communication. Back then it was WhatsApp. Then it got bought by Meta. Now all of us, people who are concerned about our online security, we're all on Signal. I mean, Edward Snowden sat there and said,
Signal. All right, let me
you'd
write
be
that down.
crazy to be using WhatsApp right now. Go to Signal, Signal.
So wait a minute.
Is where, yes.
Time out. I was communicating with my butler at the resort through
Lugo?
WhatsApp. Lugo, the butler. I was communicating with him via WhatsApp. Do you mean the Zuck has my access to those messages? I didn't realize that.
Let's put it this way. They've never been proven that he has them. But would you trust Papa Zuck with your with confidential information like, hey Lugo, where do I hide the body?
Como esta 8-ball?
All right,
Oh,
that was actually very good.
thank you. The one thing I will say is I know very limited Spanish, obviously, but you get to know hola, buenos
Hola.
dias, buenos noches, buenos
Sí.
tardes. So
Por
you want to
supuesto.
greet people as they walk by. They say hola, I say hola, and then they would
Hola.
just say something. I'd be like, they'd be like, you speak Spanish? I'm like, no, not really. Thank you though.
Yeah. At any point, did they
Cerveza?
called you a cabeza de merde?
I did not hear that part. No.
Okay, I'm surprised because I got called that
Cerveza,
quite
por
often.
favor.
Cerveza y 2 más cervezas, por favor. Yo quiero una mojito, por favor.
You got to watch those
Yo
mojitos.
quiero un tequila
I-
con helado.
I hear people can drink so many mojitos on vacation that it makes them get sick and throw up. That's what I hear.
Listen, every now and then you hear these stories about Americans who are going to these overseas resorts where they're just throwing up all over the place.
Right.
And just giving Americans a bad name. You
They're
hate
throwing
to
up,
see it.
they're throwing up at the pool. They're throwing up outside elevators. I didn't even tell you.
You hate to see it.
So Marty, part of the Jardy clan.
Friend of the show, Marty Jardy.
Well, we thought friend of the
What do you
show.
What do you
So she was looking after our cats for us while we were gone.
Gatos.
El gatos. She was coming in, feeding them, checking the litter boxes, all that
See?
good stuff. So we get home on Friday, right? Plane lands, we get through customs, we pick up the dog from boarding, we get home, it's like 7:00 at night. It is, it's dark out and whatnot. So I'm like, I don't know about you, Brian. I like unpacking my suitcase right when I get home. Like some people leave it and get to it.
Nerd alert.
So I take my suitcase upstairs. I'm walking down the hallway. I turn to go into the bedroom. Now, mind you, the hallway is lit. The bedroom is pitch black.
Sure.
As I turn the corner, I see someone in front of me. And my brain just kind of short circuits because there shouldn't be anybody in my bedroom. I can't really see what it is, but they're about my height. They've got a white face and they're holding a knife.
Fuck.
When I tell you the sound that came from my body was just like, "Wah!" then I realized that it is a 6-foot replica of Ghostface from the Scream movies
Sure.
that our friend
Friend of the
Marty
show.
has set up for the sole purpose of scaring us.
Scary. Question: do you think she was, when she put that up? Do you have a photo of it or no?
I don't have it handy to put up.
Don't worry about it. If you can, put it on social media.
All right.
But the question is this: so she broke into your home?
Well, she didn't break. She had a key. So
But see, this is the genius of that move, is the fact that most people would have placed it upon the entrance of the home.
Oh,
So when
exactly.
you first walk into the house, you would immediately see it. The genius of this move is that your bedroom is on the second floor. So
Yeah.
you will have put the key in the door, you will turn the lights on, you will have said hello to some of the cats. Maybe Finn arrives to say hello. Very friendly cat. You will all, at this point, you are no longer on guard. You will have
Right.
dropped that guard. You're now relaxed. You're like,
And that
good to be
puts
home.
it, you know, there when you go down that hallway, you take a short turn to get into the bedroom. She had it right in the entrance to the bedroom. So even
Yeah.
walking down that hallway, you've got no inclination that you're going to see anything.
Sure.
And then you turn that corner and it is right there in front of you. And it scared the living hell out of me. I was leaning over, and once I figured out what it was, I was both laughing and crying and saying, "She's a whore." Because don't get me wrong, as a man who loves playing pranks on other people, mad respect, just fucking genius level prank. But as someone who almost had a coronary, I will get my revenge. That's all there. And just, I thank God my wife did not find it, because she would have just passed out. Like she'd be traumatized. We would have to move. Like that's what happens. That's how scared she gets about this kind of stuff.
But do you think she was trying to scare you or the wife? That's really the question.
I'm not sure, because again, it would have all depended on who went upstairs first. So it's a 50-50.
Sure.
It's a crapshoot. But great prank.
Genius
Absolutely
move.
great
Just
prank.
genius move. Utterly
Anyway.
genius. Well done. Honestly, you got to say, well done to. Now, the question is, do you think John Jardy was involved in this, or do you think it was purely just Marty Jardy?
I did find out afterwards that after Marty told John what she was going to do, he did the same thing to her. He set it up in front of their front door and ended up scaring the hell out of her before she brought it over here.
It's moments like this, people, that I am just very happy that I live.
Janelle's asking if I still have the cutout. Oh, no, this, you have to understand, this wasn't. Maybe I have it on my phone and I can just.
I have the photo, but I can't seem to upload it. It is. I pulled it down from the group chat that we have.
Let me see if I can drop it to my airdrop it to my.
But it's truly. I mean, you said this thing is like human size.
It is 6 feet tall, Brian. It is 6 feet tall.
Do you still have it?
We still have it. She has not come to pick it up yet.
She has. Whoa! What do you mean by she has not come to pick it up? It's yours now. You don't give that back. You either pay it forward to someone else, or you keep it as part of your Halloween decorations for a year from now. I mean, we know that you and the wife, Halloween is your favorite holiday. We know you guys go all out on Halloween. I say that you just keep it and say, it's mine now. You are not getting this back. Good luck.
All right, let me see.
That's what I say. I could be wrong. Hold on. You just tell me. Hold on. What are we looking at?
Hold on here. All right. So for those of you listening online,
hold on a second. I think we all need to mark the date, the time, November 5th, 2023, the time 8:44 p.m. Allie believes that I am making a valid point. Ladies and gentlemen, write this down. It is a time to be remembered.
There you go. So here's the photo. If you're not watching on YouTube, you really should. So it is not a cutout. Like, it is a metal frame, 6 feet high, with a robe and a mask, arms sticking out to the side, knife in hand, ready to attack.
Now, just for
those of
people
you
knowing,
watching the video, this is what, and imagine this is, for the most part, darkness. There's some light from the hallway. You turn the corner, you're not expecting anything to be there, and this is staring you in the face.
And I've been in your kitchen. That table for the purpose of the photo, to the left of the of this creature, That table's up to about hip height. That's not a
I told you,
short,
this
like
thing is my
2-foot
height,
table.
if not a little bit higher.
Oh, so good. So
So very
good.
good.
Well
So very,
done.
very good.
Well done, Marty Jardy. Well done.
Well played. Well played. All right, let's try and get through some news stories
Sure.
before time runs out here. Brian, I pulled this story. You, as a recent home buyer, might be interested in this. That on Tuesday, a U.S. jury found the National Association of Realtors and some residential brokerages, including some units of Warren Buffett's Berkshire Hathaway, liable to pay $1.78 billion in damages for conspiring to artificially inflate commissions for home sales.
Now, how does one artificially inflate their commissions? Is this just like when it comes to like closing documents, they just like add a zero?
Well, no. So it's I guess the case kind of centered around the fact that brokers' compensation in the past typically was about 5 to 6% of a home sales price, with about half paid to the buyer's broker.
Right.
There were some home sellers in I think 3 or 4 states that brought this case that said that this model suppressed competition by keeping commissions for the buyer brokers in the 2.5 to 3% range, despite the brokers' diminishing role, with a lot of buyers finding homes independently online. Like, so
Really?
when you were searching for your recent home, would you
Yeah.
say that your broker brought homes to you, or you found homes online and said to your broker, "I'm interested in this property"?
I would say that it was a mixture of both.
Okay.
And it turned out that this property, um, Mrs. Bryan reached out and said, "Hey, there's this property we would like to look at."
So that was the argument, in that, if the buyers are doing a lot of the legwork, more
Sure.
so
Of
now than in the past, because before the internet, you relied on a buyer to find your homes for you.
course.
Now it's more a case of people are able to find their homes online, and they have to have a buyer, they have to have a broker, because that's what the state laws say. So there was about 260,000 home buyers that pooled into this
Class
class
action
action
lawsuit.
lawsuit, and now there are still damages to be calculated, which could push the total amount to $5.3 billion that could need to be paid out. Remax and Anywhere Real Estate had been defendants. They settled before trial, with Remax paying $55 million and Anywhere
Right.
paying $83.5 million without admitting liability. And now, because of this victory, the U.S. DOJ is asking a federal appeals court to let it revive an antitrust probe into the National Association of Realtors practices.
Okay. Listen, shut them all down. You're taxing people. It's just a
And I
it's you're just dipping your hand in other people's pockets and saying,
And I've
"Use some
always
of your
kind of
money."
wondered about that. We moved into this house here in 2015, 2016.
Mhm,
So we
mhm,
sold a
mhm.
house, we bought this house, and in both instances, the brokers were like, "Oh yeah, normally it's 6%. We'll just take a point off. We'll just charge you 5." So I was like, "Well, if that's just automatically the way you can do it, like, why
Mhm.
is it even 5?" Like, again, I will say the house we bought, our realtor found and gave it as a suggestion to us. But she was our realtor because of houses we found online that we wanted to go see. So it's like, what
Yeah.
is and especially with housing pricing being what the way it is,
It's
if you've
tragic at
got a
this
house
point.
that was $250,000 5 years ago, that's now $600,000.
Sure.
You know, in the past, at 250,000, 5% would be what, 12,500.
Yeah.
So what would then in turn make that commission worth $30,000?
Sure.
Like, if there
I
is an $18,000 difference, what exactly is that broker doing for that additional money? With the
Sure.
exception of the fact that the market is just so out of control that housing prices have jumped through the roof.
Listen, it's no different than a lot of a lot of different industries, which is the fact that the people that are or were considered gatekeepers are suddenly seeing that access has stretched outside of their hands, outside of their control, and that the people, and especially buyers and sellers, are able to do these transactions without the need for these gatekeepers. I mean, face it, Ron, you used to be the gatekeeper on this podcast. I used to not know how to start a podcast. I didn't know how to record or produce or whatnot. I did a 2-hour podcast last week. Gatekeepers, your time has passed.
Well, and you need to get title insurance. You need to have a
Sure.
lawyer. Like why if it's at the end of the day, it's a simple transaction. You are buying property from somebody else. Why does the government need to be so involved in that process and have so many layers and so many fees attached to it?
Listen, if there's anybody who's going to tell us the need for title insurance, it's going to be fan of the show, friend of the show, Janelle, who will be able to explain all of the reasons why you absolutely want to invest in a title search on that property. So many potential things can go wrong there.
All right.
I mean, think about it. Imagine if you were living next to, right down the street from Bill Cosby, who had been arrested so famously for all just horrific behavior, and suddenly you show up there with your wife, being like, "Hey, we're gonna buy a home in suburban
guys, you want
Philadelphia."
this house? All right, Brian, one thing that happened while I was out of the country, Representative George Santos survived a vote on Wednesday to expel him from the House, as most Republicans and 31 Democrats opted to withhold punishment while both his criminal trial and an House Ethics Committee investigation proceed. I think we're a little upset about this.
It's not a matter of being upset. It is just, it is the removing of the layers of the onion, so that there is absolutely unabashedly just the pure and naked partisanship that is going on in our Congress, where you have got a Republican Party that is more concerned with receiving a steady, comfortable Republican vote than in questioning the ethics, the morals, the legitimacy of the vote, where that is coming from. Ever since he got elected, for I think we're going on now on 2 years of this national nightmare. George Santos, representing Long Island, Republican, by name, fraud by every other way you want to look at him. Republicans have turned the other way, looked the opposite direction, as lies upon lies have been exposed that he has put out there in public to basically, state his, what's the word I'm thinking of, his ability to continue to represent the fine people of Long Island. I know Janelle right now is scoffing hearing the phrase the good people of Long Island, but I mean, he has stolen money from his supporters. He has lied about the source of his income. He has lied about his what is it, the curriculum vitae, his CV. Absolutely,
well used.
the man does not belong to be in Congress. However, the Republican Party, the establishment that we know that is in the House of Representatives, do not have the courage to sit there and say, let's put this back to the people and give them a representative who is actually worthy of representing them. Screw them all.
But you also had 31 Democrats that crossed the aisle and voted to not expel him. One of them, Representative Jamie Raskin, who made the comment that he did not want to set the precedent of removing a representative prior to that person getting their day in court.
Sure.
Do you think there's validity to that argument?
I don't think there's validity to it. I mean, anybody who does not vote this guy out is utterly ludicrous.
Also, interesting story. Jamie Raskin's middle name is Ben. It's a very not Benjamin. Ben.
Yeah, no, I
I
don't.
did.
No,
I did like the
no, thank you.
fact that George Santos sent a thank you note to the people that voted not to expel him, and Jamie Raskin marked it up with grammatical errors and sent it back to him. I did like that level of pettiness, but I do agree with Representative Raskin to the point where do you want to set that precedent to if someone has not been convicted, if someone has not had their day in court? Do they not get a chance to? Do people in general not get a chance to be considered innocent until proven guilty?
Are we not talking about the same Republican Party that threw out 2 representatives in Tennessee because they dared speak up in favor of gun control?
Listen, Brian, when they go low, we go high.
No.
I don't really know what that means in this instance, but I know that when they go
Michelle
low,
Obama
we
said
go
it.
high. She did.
Mhm,
A wise
mhm.
woman.
Okay.
Brian, your personal man of the year for 2022, Samuel Bankman Friedman,
Love the guy. Love the guy.
convicted by a Manhattan federal jury on Thursday of stealing $10 billion from users of his crypto exchange and lying to lenders and investors. He faces up to 110 years in prison when he will be sentenced on March 28th. Why does it take so long for his sentencing? It's freaking November. I mean, but anyway,
Honestly, no offense. He had his case, his trial pretty quickly.
I will
I
say,
mean, there's people whose
this did
trials
get
are
run
like,
through.
I'm going to say this guy got found guilty pretty quickly.
So the jury, comprised of 9 women and 3 men, deliberated for just 4 hours before reaching a decision. I mean, I think, again, I don't know where he could have put any type of defense for
There
himself.
is none.
Right. And
I mean,
he
he,
testified in his own defense, and it clearly didn't help.
he is using the exact same defense that I think you're going to see Donald Trump use in Georgia, which is, hey, I just did what my lawyer said I could do.
Right. Well, I think what also kind of did him in, he claimed more than 100 times during 4 days on the witness stand that he could not recall repeatedly promising that his platform was safe or ordering an underling to set up some secret computer code, allowing his girlfriend to siphon FTX customer funds.
Listen, I think of all the things, Ron, right now, we need to appreciate just the sanctity, the safety, the security of individual crypto accounts. Listen, my Ethereum to the roof this past year.
All
My
right.
Bitcoin is having its second heyday, up over 50% this year. If you got in earlier this year, like me and my friends, you are looking at huge ROIs. You just hate to see somebody come into the crypto world, the NFT world, and think, hey, here is a haven for me to thieve. Um, it's worse than lying your way into Congress.
There you go. One really important question I have for you, Brian, as we're getting close to the end
Sure,
here.
sure, sure.
What are you watching?
Oh, Lessons in Chemistry. I don't know if anybody else has jumped on it.
No.
Starring Brie Larson on Apple
Okay.
TV.
Interesting.
A lot of people decided, when she became Captain Marvel, that this was really the end of the Marvel universe. No, she raised the Marvel universe to a new level. Brie Larson, I don't remember what she was in before Captain Marvel, but let's be honest, the woman is amazing. So I started watching Lessons in Chemistry. Its first season came out. I believe they're on the 5th episode. I got through 3. It is
All
the
right.
story of a female scientist set in the 1950s. Her dream of being a chemist is put on hold when she finds herself pregnant, alone, fired from her lab. And what does she do? She does what any American woman would do in the 1950s. She becomes a TV cook, chef, teaching American housewives how to cook. I haven't gotten to that point yet. She's still a chemist. Also, I watched, went into the archives on this one, went to Green Book the 2018 film
Oh
starring
yeah.
Viggo Mortensen and Mahershala Ali, which is the story of an African American pianist who is on tour in the Deep South with his Italian driver. I had never seen the movie. I know it got a big, Oscar buzz years back. Never watched it. Just did now. Um, wow, Janelle, just so much anger. So much anger. Look, is this TV show description going to take 3 hours?
Mike.
She's just angry at me for doing a 2 hour episode. Not everybody, was angry at my 2 hour, solo podcast. Ron, what are you watching other than the ocean?
So I am watching Bodies on Netflix. It is apparently based off of a graphic novel of the same name. So it is a murder that takes place in 4 different times. That detective, it's the same murder, takes place in 1890, 1941, 2023, and 2053. It's the same body in all 4 time frames. It's a time travel quantum physics mind fuck, and it's excellent. Like, I am 6 episodes into it, and it's probably one of the best shows that I've watched in 2023.
Do you think I will struggle to wrap my feeble brain around it?
I don't think so. No, it is.
Okay.
And the thing I like about it is they are constantly giving exposition every episode. Like, it's not one of those things where you're like, what the fuck's going on? Like, every single episode, they give you more and more of the story. Very well done. I watched episode 1 of Get Gotti, the 3-episode docuseries
Yeah.
about the arresting John Gotti. It is, listen, it's mind candy. It is.
Sure.
They give it a very big 80s, 90s vibe. But you do learn a lot that you might not have known about John Gotti. I mean, not you. You were very much into the whole John Gotti case, but us laypersons out here, I think it's a good watch. And I'm going to say, what am I reading? I'm reading The Awesome Game by Dave Hill. I finished it on vacation. It's a book about him, his love affair with hockey from the time that he was a kid. He goes to Kenya and plays hockey. He goes to Finland and Poland to watch hockey. It is, even if you don't like hockey, it's a great book. He's a friend of the podcast, obviously, but I would highly recommend it. He sent my wife and I a signed copy, so we are very grateful to him for that. And I got into reading a little bit. I also started reading Mr.
How did
Mercedes.
Yes. How
Yes.
did you get a signed copy of the book, but I didn't? He's been on this show.
You
Shouldn't
didn't get your signed copy?
No.
How
did I not get a signed copy?
Maybe because of the move. Maybe it's at your old address. You should look into that.
It's kind of fucked up.
But I also have been reading Mr. Mercedes by Stephen King, which I know has been out for a while.
No. There's a whole series on that story. Start with Mr. Mercedes, but there's
It's a trilogy.
There's a trilogy. Read them all.
That's why but Mr. Mercedes,
so good,
excellent.
So good. Yes, yes.
But I don't think I'm watching.
Do yourself a favor, Ron. Read all of them because they're just as good.
I plan on. And there's also a documentary that I started watching. It's about some German guy that killed his girlfriend's parents. I forget what. Till murder do us part or something like
Johns
that.
Or whatever. I saw the trailer. I had no interest. I turned it off. That's
why
I went to lessons in chemistry.
Yeah. I did 2 episodes, and they're like, 3 episodes to go. I'm like, they're really dragging this out. So I don't think I'm going to watch.
I'm just proud that you're reading. I'm proud that you've moved on to the typed word. It is it's important for us to, remember that there's that we can still read, and it's not just dependent on our on screens for us to go. Mr. Mercedes, very impressed.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
All right. Anything else, Brian, before we wrap up here today?
I'm just so glad that you are back. For those people, I've gotten so many text messages already, from the show. The shirt Drunk Ron will be available in our merch store. Go to our website tomorrow. It may be I've been speaking to some of our coders. in Thailand, they say we're not sure. It will either be up tomorrow or within 48 hours. But you too can get your Drunk Ron t-shirt. This is a photo, Ron. You went to go see Jim Norton. You saw double Jim Norton because you were drinking a lot of whiskey and beer that night. You ended up sitting on the floor up against a brick wall, if I'm not correct. And the kind people of our merch company have sat there and said, "Hey, Brian, we think this would make a great shirt." I agree. I think it makes a great shirt. Going to be in our merch store tomorrow.
So I will say, you're a motherfucker. Marty's a motherfucker. But I love you both. I respect the game.
We wouldn't do this if we didn't love you.
Don't hate the player, hate the game.
Thank you.
And of course, we've got After Dark coming up in about 25 minutes for our Patreon subscribers. If you subscribe at the bronze level or higher, that's just $10 a month. You get to join us live every week at 9:30 After Dark, and as well as getting great swag and things of that nature. But we've got the sexy stories, the stories that the Zuck, Elon, they don't want us to have on the free podcast. So we put it behind the paywall. I guarantee you it is worth the cost of 2 lattes a month to have access to this great content.
And we love doing it also.
We do. We really do.
To be honest, it is a way for people to sit there and help the show. We do an hour every week, sometimes 2. Where we do an hour of free content. Anybody with an internet connection every week can watch at least 1 hour of new content from the Ron and Brian podcast. It's not free, people. It may be free to you, but it is free. It is not free to the world. It costs money. There's website storage, there's web hosting, stuff like that. Every time Ron runs that scroll at the bottom, 75 cents. How do you help offset some of those costs? You sign up for our Patreon, and maybe, just maybe, you'll get a discount code for the Drunk Ron t-shirt that I'm wearing right now. We will have in our web store tomorrow. There might be a 20% off code. And by the way, Janelle mentioned earlier, am I in my water tank closet? You are absolutely.
You are in the HVAC closet.
Absolutely. The water tank is below downstairs. This is the HVAC, people.
All
yes,
right.
If
anything else, Brian, before we close out episode?
Not at all. It was just so nice to have you back. So nice to have you back.
So good to be back. All right, everybody. Patreon folks, we will catch you in 23 minutes. Everybody else, we will catch you next week.
Thank you for joining us on the Ron and Brian podcast. We're live each week on YouTube, Facebook, and Twitch. You can find prior episodes, links to our social media, and everything else Ron and Brian at ronandbrianpodcast.com. See you